When we think of Hollywood's golden age, we picture glitz, glamour, and legendary stars gracing the silver screen. But behind the polished smiles and elegant premieres, there were stories of egos, temperaments, and rivalries that could make even the brightest set lights flicker. Few could speak to this hidden world with authority, like Burt Lancaster. Known for his charisma, talent, and unwavering professionalism, Lancaster once revealed the darker side of Hollywood, naming some of the meanest actors of that era. But before he ever became a confidant to these secrets, Lancaster had his own remarkable journey that shaped him into one of the most respected figures of cinema. Burt Lancaster was born Burt Lancaster on November 2nd, 1913, in Manhattan, New York City. The son of James Lancaster, a dry cleaner, and Elizabeth Lancaster, a homemaker, he grew up in a modest environment. Far from the glamorous Hollywood he would one day dominate. His early life was marked by discipline and perseverance. Lancaster learned from his parents the value of hard work, an ethic that would become central to both his career and personal philosophy. The neighborhood of Harlem, where he spent much of his youth, was a bustling, vibrant community, filled with both opportunity and challenge. Lancaster's childhood was active, adventurous, and sometimes precarious. He excelled at sports, particularly gymnastics, where his extraordinary athleticism earned him early recognition. By the age of 16, he was performing acrobatics with traveling circuses, demonstrating a daring and skill that would later translate to his physical presence on screen. Education was another crucial foundation for Lancaster. He attended local public schools in Manhattan and supplemented his learning through experiences outside the classroom. But it was during these formative years that Lancaster discovered the power of performance. Watching vaudeville acts and stage performers, he developed an appreciation for showmanship, timing, and the ability to captivate an audience, skills that would become essential in his acting career. Lancaster's early exposure to hardship also informed his later life. The Great Depression touched his family, instilling resilience and empathy. He worked a variety of jobs, construction, boxing, and acrobatics, to help support his household. These experiences not only toughened him physically and mentally, but also gave him a deep understanding of human struggle, something he would channel into his most powerful performances. The combination of athletic prowess, stage experience, and a keen observational mind made Lancaster a natural performer. By the late 1930s, he had already appeared in several theater productions, gaining a reputation for discipline and professionalism. His early stage work also allowed him to meet influential figures in entertainment, setting the stage for his eventual transition to film. It was the early 1940s when Lancaster made a critical decision. He would leave the circus and theater behind to pursue a career in Hollywood. Unlike many actors of the time, he had no connections, no family legacy in film, only talent, ambition, and an unwavering work ethic. This determination would propel him into the spotlight, but also provide him perspective to later observe the temperaments of other stars, both brilliant and challenging. In this way, Burt Lancaster's early life was not just a prelude to stardom, but a crucible that forged a man capable of navigating Hollywood's extremes. By understanding his own struggles, he could later offer candid insights into the personalities of the era's most infamous actors, those who were as talented as they were difficult. From the streets of Manhattan to the stages of acrobatics, Lancaster's formative years shaped a man who would not only become a cinematic icon, but also a perceptive witness to the hidden tensions of Hollywood's golden age. And it was this perspective, born of experience and resilience, that allowed him to name, with authority, the meanest actors of his time. Burt Lancaster's journey from the streets of Manhattan to the glimmering lights of Hollywood was anything but ordinary. Unlike many actors of his time, he brought a combination of athleticism, raw charisma, and relentless determination that immediately set him apart. His early years were a test of grit, demanding perseverance as he navigated a competitive world of stage and screen. After leaving the circus and acrobatics behind, Lancaster began performing in theater productions in New York. His physical agility made him a natural for demanding roles, and he quickly gained attention for his commanding stage presence. He was not the typical Hollywood leading man, tall, muscular, and exuding both charm and intensity, but it was precisely this uniqueness that captured the interest of talent scouts. Lancaster's first forays into film came in the early 1940s, mostly uncredited roles that gave him a taste of the industry, but little recognition. During this time, he faced the challenges common to many aspiring actors: long hours, low pay, and the constant pressure to prove oneself. To make ends meet, he continued performing in circuses, theatrical tours, and occasionally as a stuntman, honing skills that would later define his cinematic style. His breakout moment arrived in 1946 with the film The Killers, directed by Robert Siodmak. Lancaster's portrayal of the doomed ex-boxer Burt was electrifying, combining his physical prowess with nuanced emotion. Audiences and critics alike were struck by his intensity, and he was suddenly recognized as a force to be reckoned with. The role solidified his reputation for commanding performances and marked the beginning of a prolific career in Hollywood. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Lancaster delivered a series of iconic roles that cemented his place in film history. In From Here to Eternity, 1953, he showcased both vulnerability and strength, earning critical acclaim alongside co-stars Montgomery Clift and Deborah Kerr. His performance in Elmer Gantry, 1960, won him an Academy Award for Best Actor, demonstrating his ability to embody complex, morally ambiguous characters with charisma and depth. Lancaster worked with some of the era's most esteemed directors, including John Frankenheimer, Anthony Mann, and Robert Aldrich, forging collaborations that produced some of Hollywood's most memorable films. Lancaster's talent extended beyond acting. He co-founded Heck Lancaster Productions, a company that gave him creative control over projects and allowed him to champion more daring stories. This move reflected not just ambition, but a vision for cinema as an art form capable of social commentary and innovation. Films like Marty, 1955, and Sweet Smell of Success, 1957, pushed boundaries, both narratively and thematically, and Lancaster's involvement signaled his commitment to quality and integrity in filmmaking. Despite his achievements, Lancaster faced career challenges. His outspoken nature, insistence on professional integrity, and refusal to conform to studio pressures sometimes caused friction. Some producers considered him difficult to work with, a reputation that mirrored, in a sense, the very mean actors he would later discuss. Yet his professionalism, discipline, and undeniable talent usually ensured that these conflicts never hindered his career for long. By the late 1960s, Lancaster had become more than an actor. He was a symbol of Hollywood's evolving identity, bridging the gap between classic studio glamour and the more experimental, socially conscious cinema of the era. His physicality, charisma, and determination to push boundaries inspired generations of actors, while his sharp eye for human behavior made him uniquely positioned to observe and later comment on the temperaments and egos of his peers. From a young acrobat in Manhattan to one of Hollywood's most commanding presences, Burt Lancaster's rise to stardom was a testament to talent, hard work, and the courage to challenge convention. He achieved fame on his own terms, creating a career that was both respected and envied, and positioning himself as an authority on the sometimes mercurial personalities of Hollywood's golden age. While Burt Lancaster's professional life was defined by charisma, physicality, and fearless performances, his personal life was equally complex, marked by enduring relationships, high-profile romances, and a strong sense of family. Lancaster was not just a Hollywood star. He was a man navigating the challenges of love, marriage, and parenthood amid the pressures of fame and the intense social spotlight of Hollywood's golden age. In 1943, Burt Lancaster married Norma Anderson, a schoolteacher who would become his lifelong partner. Their marriage was notable for its stability, a rarity in Hollywood circles, particularly given Lancaster's rising fame. Norma's presence provided grounding for the actor, allowing him to pursue his ambitious career while maintaining a sense of home and family. Together, they had a daughter, Susan Lancaster, who grew up with a strong understanding of her father's dedication to both craft and family. Despite the constant travel, filming, and demands of stardom, Lancaster remained committed to his family, often insisting on being present for important milestones. Beyond marriage, Lancaster had friendships and professional relationships that blurred into his personal life. He was known to cultivate close bonds with co-stars and directors, fostering trust and collaboration on set. These relationships sometimes led to personal tensions, particularly with actors known for difficult or egotistical behavior. Lancaster's experiences navigating these dynamics informed his later reflections on Hollywood's meaner personalities, giving him first-hand insight into the impact of fame on temperament and character. Although Lancaster's marriage to Norma remained solid, he was not immune to the romantic entanglements that were common among actors of his era. He reportedly had brief relationships with actresses he worked closely with, though none were as publicized or scandalous as the affairs that characterized many of his contemporaries. These connections, while discreet, occasionally fueled rumors and gossip in Hollywood, further enhancing Lancaster's awareness of the darker side of stardom. Family remained a central focus throughout his life. Lancaster's daughter, Susan, eventually pursued interests in philanthropy and art, inspired in part by her father's own involvement in socially conscious projects. Lancaster often spoke about the importance of providing children with stability and education, contrasting sharply with the tumultuous lives of some of his celebrity peers. He maintained close ties to extended family and valued traditions, understanding that life outside the camera lens demanded care, attention, and moral grounding. Friendships were another cornerstone of Lancaster's personal life. He cultivated relationships with fellow actors, directors, and writers who shared his dedication to craft and integrity. Among these, his bond with Kirk Douglas stood out, a relationship built on mutual respect, collaboration, and shared experiences navigating Hollywood's unpredictable culture. Such friendships offered Lancaster both support and insight into the behavior of other actors, shaping his later candid commentary on the industry's more difficult personalities. Yet the personal challenges of Hollywood were never far away. Lancaster witnessed firsthand effects of ego, competition, and fame on the lives of those around him. He observed actors who were talented yet abrasive, brilliant yet cruel, individuals whose behavior could disrupt productions and relationships alike. These observations inform his reflections on the meanest actors of his time, giving his assessments weight, nuance, and credibility. In the end, Burt Lancaster's personal life reveals a man deeply committed to family, friends, and ethical principles. While he enjoyed the excitement, allure, and occasional temptations of Hollywood, he balanced these with a grounded sense of responsibility and compassion. His marriage to Norma, his relationships with his daughter Susan, and his enduring friendships provided a foundation that allowed him to navigate the chaos of Hollywood with grace, insight, and an understanding of human nature that would later make his commentary on the industry unforgettable. Burt Lancaster speaking candidly about the meanest actors of Hollywood's golden age. While the era is remembered for its glamour, talent, and iconic films, it was also rife with egos, rivalries, and personalities that could be as cruel as they were brilliant. Lancaster's perspective is especially compelling because he lived through it all, not just as a star, but as a thoughtful observer who valued professionalism, collaboration, and integrity. Lancaster's reflections often emphasize the distinction between arrogance and cruelty. Many actors had confidence, self-assurance, or strong artistic visions, but some crossed a line into behavior that was destructive, disrespectful, or unnecessarily harsh. In interviews, Lancaster named several actors whose reputation for meanness were legendary. These were not casual observations. They came from decades of first-hand experience, working with some of the era's most celebrated and temperamental figures. One of the actors he referenced was Errol Flynn, whose charm on-screen belied a volatile temperament off-camera. Lancaster noted that while Flynn could be generous in moments, he was also prone to manipulating situations for his own benefit, often at the expense of co-stars and crew. Similarly, Mae West, despite her wit and iconic presence, could be ruthlessly dismissive toward those she deemed less talented or unworthy of her attention, creating tension on film sets and in social circles alike. Another figure Lancaster spoke about was John Garfield, whose intensity and uncompromising approach sometimes led to clashes with directors and colleagues. Garfield's focus on authenticity and raw emotion could make him difficult to work with, especially when others prioritize efficiency or studio demands. Lancaster's account illustrated that meanness often stemmed from a combination of insecurity, passion, and the pressures of maintaining stardom in a highly competitive environment. Lancaster also observed patterns in male and female actors differently. Male actors, he noted, often express meanness through ego-driven control over productions or aggressive rivalries, while female stars sometimes wielded sharpness through wit, intimidation, or social influence. Names like Betty Davis and Joan Crawford frequently surfaced in Hollywood lore, and Lancaster's commentary acknowledged both their brilliance and the challenges of navigating their larger-than-life personalities. But Lancaster's storytelling was never purely judgmental. He contextualized these behaviors within the pressures of Hollywood itself. Long hours, demanding directors, and the constant scrutiny of the public could amplify insecurities and magnify tempers. For Lancaster, witnessing these personalities was both entertaining and instructive. It taught him how to maintain composure, respect, and integrity, even amid chaos. By framing these accounts with humor, empathy, and insight, Lancaster created a nuanced portrait of Hollywood's golden age. His commentary was less about gossip and more about understanding human behavior under extreme circumstances. He illustrated how brilliance and meanness were often intertwined, and how the industry shaped, challenged, and sometimes warped the personalities of its stars. Ultimately, this section of Lancaster's life and perspective offers a rare window into Hollywood behind the curtain. He wasn't merely naming names. He was sharing wisdom gleaned from experience, showing that even in an era of glamour and fame, professionalism, kindness, and respect were the true measures of character. Through his eyes, we see that the golden age of Hollywood was not just a period of stunning artistry. It was a world of human complexities, where talent and temperament collided in unforgettable ways. As Burt Lancaster moved into the later decades of his life, he transitioned from Hollywood's commanding leading man to a respected elder statesman of cinema. His later years were characterized not by the spotlight of red carpets, but by the quiet reflection of a career that had spanned over 5 decades and encompassed some of the most iconic films in cinematic history. Even as he aged, Lancaster continued to work, choosing projects that challenged him artistically and aligned with his personal values. Films like Atlantic City, 1980, which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, showcased his ability to evolve with the times, embracing roles that highlighted depth, nuance, and emotional complexity over mere physicality or charm. Unlike some contemporaries who struggled to adapt, Lancaster's commitment to craft and willingness to take risks ensured his enduring relevance. Outside of acting, Lancaster's work as a producer further cemented his legacy. Through Heck Lancaster Productions, he championed stories that explored social issues, personal struggle, and human dignity. Films such as Marty, 1955, and Sweet Smell of Success, 1957, remain landmarks in cinematic history, illustrating how Lancaster's influence extended beyond performance into shaping the industry itself. His insistence on high-quality, thought-provoking content reflected a broader vision of Hollywood as more than entertainment, a medium for meaningful storytelling. Personal reflection played a significant role in Lancaster's later years. He remained devoted to his family, maintaining strong bonds with his wife Norma and daughter Susan. The stability of his home life provided a counterbalance to the pressures and memories of a tumultuous Hollywood career. Friends and colleagues often remarked on Lancaster's warmth, generosity, and humility in these later years, describing a man who had navigated fame with integrity and kindness, despite having observed some of the industry's darkest personalities. Lancaster's observations about Hollywood's meanest actors, shared publicly in interviews and memoirs, became part of his enduring legacy. These candid reflections offered future generations insight into the human side of fame, the egos, rivalries, and challenges behind the glamour. By speaking honestly yet thoughtfully about the industry's complexities, Lancaster contributed not only to cinema, but also to the historical understanding of Hollywood's golden age. Health challenges eventually became part of Lancaster's later life, as the physical demands of aging took their toll. Yet he faced these challenges with the same courage and determination that had defined his career. Even as his energy waned, his intellect, humor, and insight remained sharp, allowing him to continue engaging with film, friends, and admirers until his final years. Burt Lancaster passed away on October 20th, 1994, at the age of 80, due to a cerebral hemorrhage in Los Angeles, California. His death marked the end of an era, but the impact of his work continues to resonate. Films that once thrilled audiences now serve as timeless lessons in artistry, discipline, and the power of human expression. His influence extends not just through his own performances, but through the countless actors, directors, and writers who drew inspiration from his example. In the end, Lancaster's story is one of brilliance tempered by humility, talent informed by discipline, and observation enriched by empathy. He witnessed the best and worst of Hollywood and emerged not only as a legend of cinema, but as a thoughtful chronicler of its intricacies. His reflections on the meanest actors of his era are not mere gossip. They are a window into the human side of fame, a reminder that behind the glamour, even stars wrestle with ego, rivalry, and imperfection. Burt Lancaster's legacy is enduring. A life defined by artistry, courage, and insight, both on and off the screen. His films continue to captivate, his commentary continues to educate, and his story remains a testament to the complexities of Hollywood and the enduring power of integrity, skill, and observation. He reminds us that even in a world of larger-than-life personalities, character matters, and the true measure of a star is not only in performance, but in the way they navigate the world around them.